Hello everybody and welcome back to TJ's Lego Room. Today we are doing a little bit of a different video, a different location, and that's because right now I'm in the middle of a gigantic project and I don't want to show you guys just yet. So what we're doing is I brought in my display table and we're going to use it in the Lego room today. Everybody's still awake, so I can't do it upstairs. But this is my Lego Star Wars First Order TIE Bomber. You may recognize this from Star Wars episode, oh wait a minute, they don't have one yet. But first things first, I want to just kind of let you know that I did get a lot of the inspiration for this design. And I'll go over what was specifically influenced by it. But by a YouTube channel called E.C. Henry, he builds digital models of all kinds of different things. And he built a First Order TIE Bomber himself. And some of his ideas, they just made so much sense in universe that I'm like, I have to do that. So while I'm going through here and talking about these different ideas and different inspirations that I used to build this model, this mock, I suggest you go check out E.C. Henry because you might yourself get inspired to build some amazing stuff. His design prowess is incredible. So I'd suggest checking him out. I subscribed once I saw a few of the models that he had done, a few of the self-creative ships that he designed for the Star Wars universe. He has a B-Wing, an A-Wing, and the First Order TIE Bomber. I mean, it's awesome. Oh, sorry, not an A-Wing, a Y-Wing. He has a Y-Wing that's pretty awesome. So let's get going, shall we? If you want to check out his video, you may notice I'm going to say a lot of the same things that he does. I do have some changes on here, and I will list those, but please go check him out. He does some amazing work. I don't know him or anything, but I feel like I do because I've watched his videos a lot. All right, so first things first, how do we start to design a First Order bomber? Well, just like Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, the bent wing configuration and even the shape was an inspiration for the TIE Bomber in Empire Strikes Back. I took the same visual cues and took Kylo Ren's TIE Fighter, the TIE Silencer, and I used that as the wing template for the First Order TIE Bomber. So we can see that it's got the extremely long wings, very pointed, very sharp. But a couple of things I did is I removed the panel that was right here on the TIE Silencer, and I just made that a negative space and then added the blasters right here. In the E.C. Henry model, he had this area closed in and had wingtip cannons on each of the 4 wingtips. I decided to go for this look because I just liked it better. I messed around with some designs just in my notebook, and I liked this version better. Just like his model, we can see at the back here, we've got this little small panel here. The reason he did that, and I liked the idea behind it, is that he wanted to evoke a little bit of the Y-Wing bomber feel to a TIE bomber. And so the Y-Wing, of course, has the long struts with the circle engine vane on the back. I'm not really sure what its use is. I always thought it was a little silly looking. But either way, he put a little spacer at the back here, and I really liked the look of it. I thought it gave it a very distinct profile, so it didn't just look like a backwards TIE Silencer, but it actually gave it a definite, this is the back end of it, and connected it all together. Then we go to the back here, and we can see that I used a 4-engine design. And this is actually the exact same engine design. Oh, sorry for the dust, guys. I live in a very dusty house. Anyway, I used the exact same engine design that I used on the Captain Phasma TIE Fighter. I'll show you right here. You can see that. It's a really cool way to build those engines to give them a really nice angle look and just make it a little different, a little more interesting in some ways. As you can see, I've got the little bomb bay door right there, similar to the original TIE TIE bomber. Now, one thing I do have also that E.C. Henry did is have an underside cannon right here. So this little rotating cannon, it's just a little blaster cannon, just an anti-pursuit cannon. And that is accessible from the Bombardier's station, which I will show you in just a little bit. You also can probably tell that I did not make the double round containers. E.C. Henry did something similar to this. I think the orientation was a little bit different, but either way, I liked his idea of saying, hey, you know, this isn't holding another person or anything. Let's just make it very efficient, very streamlined and aerodynamic, which I was definitely a fan of. A couple things I did as well. I have all these different red stripes on it, and to be honest, I actually wanted it to be all black. I wanted it to black out. I wanted it to just be a regular bomber. Unfortunately, I was running really low on these 1x3 tiles, so I used some red ones to kind of make the difference. And then this canopy. This canopy has the 4 red stripes on it. And to get an all black one, there is one that actually exists now. It's in a DC Comics set that they have just a straight black one of these. But I did like the detailing. I like it looking like a cockpit or a canopy. And so when I put that on, I decided that I wanted to match the 4 stripes on that canopy with 4 stripes across the bomber. So that's why that design ended up that way, which is a little silly, I know. But all right, let's look on the inside here. We do have a regular pilot and a bombardier. Man, it's really hard to see in there. Okay, open that up. See a little bit in there. So we do have 2 TIE pilots inside there. And if I can get this light over here, you can see he does have a control panel inside there. He actually has 2 large control panels in order to get his targeting right for both the bombing and for the rear anti-pursuit cannon. Then if you look in the middle here, while we're here, you can see 2 heavy laser cannons. That is an inclusion of the E.C. Henry did on his model as well. He wanted a lot more blasters on his bomber. He makes some really good points about the original TIE bombers and how they had absolutely no defensive weapons. They were just straight up fly in, bomb something, and get out. But he wanted more. I agreed. I also like more weapons on my vehicles, and so that's what we did. And I did take his design cues by putting those 2 cannons right between the pods that are just heavy blaster cannons or heavy laser cannons. I'm not sure the difference between the 2, blasters versus lasers. I'm sure there is one. And if you want to leave a correction in the comments and let me know which ones these would be, that would be great. Then, of course, we have some small blasters, anti-personnel blasters or little things right there. Those are just those little 1x1 modified plates with the bar coming off of them. And they do move a little bit, which at first I was like, I wish I could get them to stay straight. But at the same time, laser cannons in Star Wars do have a small bit of adjustment that they can do in order to get your targeting proper. So, you know, if you have 2 straight things, you're going to be shooting, you know, that far apart straight ahead. But if you can taper them in just a little bit, then you can get those cross sections until whatever you're aiming at is targeted properly, and then you can blast it out and hit a single target instead of 2 targets, you know, however far apart your blasters are. Of course, like most things that I build, I do have an adjustable thing. I have some modular parts because what would you do without modular parts? It wouldn't be me. I always like being able to say that, hey, this thing works for this one thing, but it also works for this other thing too. So in this configuration, we have our planetary bombardment bomber pod. So we have our targeting sensor array right up there at the front, and then underneath we have our bomb bay door. Unfortunately, that bomb bay doesn't actually release bombs because of the pieces I had to use. I ran out of certain ones, but it gets the look of it, and as far as play features go, I think this thing is just fine. I've grown less accepting or desiring of things that fall off or get launched. And so just pretending that they shoot is good enough for me for now. So we have the planetary bombardment aspect, and then we have these two pieces, which move us into a capital ship assault. So if we just pop off this little piece here, we can get to the sensor bar and replace the sensor bar with a proton torpedo launcher or a concussion missile launcher, whichever way you decide you want it to be. Stick that back on. We've got 4 exposed heads ready to be fired. And then underneath, the bomb bay is removable. Of course, some of the pieces are still a little sticky. There we go. You can remove the bomb bay and add in this, which is supposed to be a type of exposed magazine underneath it, just to give it some visual, interesting cues. I do actually have this piece on here, which is already on there permanently. Well, semi-permanently, even when the bomb bay is on. But then you stick this guy on, and it kind of carries it through and gives it a nice, interesting magazine type look, similar to like the what do they call that, Ben? The LAAT gunship. On the top of it, you could see the missiles rotating through. So this, you would actually, in theory, be able to see these things advancing through as it fires. Obviously, it doesn't work that way for this, but I'm pretty happy with it. Now, this thing is actually pretty heavy. It's a pretty solid build, but it's very swooshable. You can grab it like right from the middle here, and the wings are pretty solid. I don't think I would carry the whole thing because this is almost completely solid. Like the pieces on here, there's very little hollow space other than the captain's area right here. And then inside this area, it's really solid in order to get the shaping of that 6-sided hexagonal shape. It's pretty difficult. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with how it all worked out. I think it looks fantastic, personally. I mean, I'm biased, but yeah. Oh, little side note here. You may notice that this corner is different than those 3 corners, and that's because in universe, it has a very specific purpose. I don't know what that is, but the real reason is because I only had exactly enough of these to do 3 on each of the main wings, and then the 4 at the back. And that is all the pieces that I had, all of these. You actually can get a bunch of these in the Praetorian Guard battle pack that they just came out with recently. It comes with like 6 of them just in that set alone, and then I had to steal a couple others from another set. But I really like the way that the curve looks on those things. I had the square on there for a while, and it just was really thick, and I didn't love how it looked. And then I've got these things on there, and I'm like, whoa, that's awesome. So there we go. There's my first order TIE bomber. And just to give you a little bit of a size comparison here, if we want to set this over here a little bit, we'll move the camera a little bit. So there's what it looks like next to a first order TIE fighter, the Special Forces TIE fighter, the actual set. So that's kind of what that looks like right there. Not bad. Not bad for size. It's definitely, definitely shorter on the wings. That's for sure. Woo! But the cockpit is actually just a little bit smaller. I noticed, here's an interesting tidbit, the eyeball sections on the Special Forces TIEs are actually supposed to be bigger because a lot of the mechanics that they would put behind the pilot are taken up by the secondary pilot on the Special Forces. So I did try to make this bubble a little bit skinnier, a little bit smaller, so that it would reflect that particular design. Let's go ahead and compare this to the TIE Victor, or TIE W, right there. So I still love this thing. I just can't bring myself to take it apart. It's just gorgeous. I love this thing. It's so great. But there it is compared to that. So a little bit larger cockpit. No, it's pretty close, actually. Pretty close between these two. Height-wise, I think the Thai Victor is just a little bit taller, but just barely taller. Let's see, let's get down real quick. Yeah, it's just a little bit taller. Not a ton taller. That's for sure. Cool. And then the last one we'll compare it to is our Captain Phasma's TIE Fighter. I had it down here already to show you the engine comparison. Woo! So, a little bit different. Captain Phasma's TIE is a little bit longer. If it didn't have this extended wing, this would actually be longer. These wings are much longer, but for this extended wing, it obviously makes it one of the longest ships I've ever made, for sure. And then we have, height-wise, obviously the bomber is taller because this one went for just one flat wing rather than the bi-wings on each side. Yep. And then the pod, I think, is pretty comparable. I think most of the pods are actually pretty close to each other. Sorry for the dust again. Just live in a dusty place. Middle of the desert. That's what happens. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that that in-depth look at the First Order TIE Bomber that I created. Hopefully you like it. Hopefully it's an enjoyable time. Oh, there's Ben. Hopefully you get inspired by it. Hopefully you like it. Sorry this video is a little bit longer, but I think it was worth it. I think it was worth it to see all the different details and things like that on there. It's just I just love it. Anyway, thanks, Han. Anyway, we'll catch you guys next time at TJ's Lego Room. Thanks so much for checking us out, and we'll see you next time. Bye.